When was the last time that you started something brand new that was going to help your family reach that financial freedom of affording your groceries or paying down your debt or whatever that meant to you? And it was great at the beginning because there was so much hype and there was so much excitement that was motivating you to keep going. And maybe you spent hours and hours doing this each day. And then, out of nowhere, the motivation is gone. You don't want to do it anymore until you find the next new thing where you've got all this energy and all this excitement to go into it again. And that's what's going to help your family until the motivation runs out again. Today, what I'm going to talk to you about is how one little trick helped me stay in my business for almost 2 years and going strong after a series of stopping and starting other businesses. So as you may or may not know, I've had a string of businesses that I've tried in the past to be able to stay home with my kids, to be able to bring my now ex home instead of working 15, 16-hour days, just to give us a little more financial security, a little more breathing room. And every time I would lose interest and I would lose momentum, I'd go on to something else. So I've tried network marketing, I've tried freelancing in multiple different areas, and nothing ever seemed to stick, and I couldn't figure out why everyone else was having this success and why I wasn't. I thought it had to do with me. I thought, when I say I thought it had to do with me, I don't mean that I wasn't utilizing this one trick. What I mean is I wasn't good enough to do it. I can't do it. This is not the right opportunity for me. When in reality, if I just implemented what I'm implementing now, I could have 1,000% pulled off any one of those businesses that I was doing. It had nothing to do with me as the person, but this one characteristic that I'm not putting into place, that I wasn't putting into place, that I do now. And what that is everybody searches for motivation and when's the next adrenaline high going to kick in, or the dopamine hit going to kick in. That's where motivation comes from. Dopamine, motivation, all this, it doesn't last forever. It weans off. And so what you need to do is you need to have discipline. Now, another word for it can be consistency. And thankfully, I was listening to this podcast this morning, and the gentleman, I can't remember his name, he had said that consistency is a characteristic trait, which means we can work on it, which means we can get better, which means the very, very rich people, they weren't the most motivated people. They were the most consistent people, but they weren't born consistent. That's something they worked on. So consistency versus motivation. What is the difference? Consistency is if you say that you're going to go work out every single day, then you're going to do it.
But Trinity, the kids are home from school because they're sick. But Trinity, I can't go in the evening. I can't go to the gym in the evening because, you got to do supper and homework and getting them ready for bed and getting them to bed and all these other things. Okay.
Well, do you have YouTube? Do you have another person there that can watch the kids and you can go for a walk? Because YouTube has a bunch of workout routines that you can do just in your living room after the kids are asleep. And going for a walk, it's getting you active and moving. You're working out. You may not be at the gym, but you're working out. When you're also, a huge benefit to this is when you follow through with these promises that you've made to yourself and these commitments that you've told other people, but you're also keeping for yourself, you trust yourself more. Your self-confidence goes up because if you say it's going to get done, you know it's going to get done. You don't have as much self-doubt because, well, I trust myself to get this done, so I'm going to get it done. There's this challenge that I'm taking part in, and I would really like to invite you into it as well. And it doesn't have a fancy name, but it's you do one thing for 100 days every day. So if that's working out, you do that every day, whether you have to go to the gym or go for a walk or do it in your living room. One thing every day. And everybody's overachievers, myself included. And so what I'm going to say right now is don't choose two things. Don't say, I'm going to go to the gym and drink 2 more glasses of water than I usually do. One thing. That's it. The reason why is because that one thing, and I'm going to tell you what kind of thing that is recommended that I'm also following suit in. I'm working out because a few weeks ago I got a gym membership. I'm using it. I want to feel amazing again, and I want it to impact other areas of my life. Okay. So the reason you only pick the one thing is so that you're only focused on that specific item. Because how often, think about it, how often do you want to change up your routine and you're like, I'm going to change my entire routine. It's going to be amazing. It's perfect. I created a whole brand new routine. And then it just gets scrapped because you can't go longer than a week or two doing this routine because you've changed everything and it's too much change all at once. So if you just do the one thing, it's going to be so much easier to keep consistent. The habit that you want to choose for the next 100 days should be something called a keystone habit. Now, I heard this and I was like, what on earth is that? Well, I'll tell you what it is. So, in ancient Rome, there was the arches that was made of, just a bunch of blocks of stone. That one in the center, at the very, very top, the way it keeps the arch together is gravity acts on it, pulls it down, it locks all the other stones in place. And that's how those arches stay together. You want the keystone habit to impact every other habit that you have in your life. So for myself, going to work out, I'm considering, if I want to work out, do I really want to have that donut? Because then it's going to make the last hour or half hour or whatever I did, it's going to kind of be for nothing. And I just killed my legs on the leg press. Do I really want to say the heck with it and have a donut? Maybe not. So my eating habits are going to change for the better. And then if I'm really tired, in a few weeks, I might be going like, you know what? I'm really sore. I'm really tired. I know that sleep is essential for weight loss, for muscle growth, all these things. Maybe I'll go to bed an hour earlier. Maybe I'll wake up a little bit earlier because I want to get my workout in the morning instead. So now we're not sleeping the day away or sleeping too little, and we're taking care of other parts of our life to help facilitate a healthy habit so you can actually do this habit regularly. In addition to that, what you want to do to keep on track, to keep consistent, this is what I'm doing. You can do whatever you want, but what I'm doing is I'm getting a calendar. I've actually already got one. A large calendar. I'm going to put it on the wall. I can't miss it. I can't ignore it. It's in this obnoxious place. My kids are going to wonder what it is. They're going to want to take it off the wall. I'm not going to let them. But what you're going to do is after you do your habit, you put a giant X through it. Get a bright marker, put a giant X through that day, and after a little while, you're going to have a streak of X's and you're not going to want to get rid of those, like to wreck that streak and start over. When I was learning a different language, I was using one of the apps and it had a widget on my phone and it said, oh, you have a 27-day streak. Unfortunately, if you lost that streak, it made you feel really bad, which is a good thing. But I didn't want to miss it. I would get up at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night if I was in bed. I'd get up and I would do my language learning so that I didn't mess with that streak. I wanted to keep that streak. I worked hard for it, so I'm going to keep it. So if you put your X's every single day, after a little while, it's going to get, after 2 weeks, you're going to see all those X's. You're not going to want to get rid of that streak. So that's how it's good. That's the mini motivation. That's the discipline coming in that's going to help you keep going. And as a side note, because I just said mini motivation, when you take action, that creates motivation. Your consistency is going to create your momentum and your motivation, because I don't know about you, when I sit down with one of my clients, I could be just going through the motions, doing what I have to do because I have to do it, because I'm consistent on it. But when I sit down with a client, I'm actually helping them, or I sit down with an agent that I'm training, that gets me excited again. That brings up the hype. I'm excited for this client or this agent to see their full potential and to hit whatever dreams and goals they have going on. So it gets me excited again, which then bumps up my productivity and it keeps going. So keep in mind that you doing this is going to create momentum, it's going to create motivation, but you need consistency and discipline in order to do that. And that's the number one way that you're going to choose an opportunity that you like or that fits best for you and your family. And that's how it's going to stick until it makes a change that you're wanting to change.